All right, hopefully that's working. Let me just grab the link. Okay, go to YouTube. Go, hang on. Wow, should have really thought about this. Okay, hang on. So profesh. YT Studio. Just you know, share it from my phone, I guess. Should have thought this through, shouldn't I? Hang on, hold up. Fuck's sake. Where do I get the link to share? So professional. So very professional. Hang on, let's quickly see if we can sign in on here. Switch accounts, add accounts. Let's do this one. Yeah, I'm definitely showing the right screen. There we go. Let's do this for a second. Hang on. Brain of Britain over here. Right, let's have a look. Let's see if anyone turns up. I guess, and if they don't, that's also fine. Okay, let's look at this. Whoop. Okay. Right, where do we get up to? What am I doing with this? What am I even doing? Do we start over? Let's name things. Let's be like swirly. Okay. Okay, well, I might as well actually, yeah, that's how I was going to do it. So let's just do here. So we'll go to shading and boop. Just make sure this is set to Octane. Yep. Oh, okay, I got further than this before. Well, let's have a look. So, tools, axis center, Y, set that to -100. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to change the coordinates to that. There we go. Wonderful. Oops. Okay. So, yeah, for the KR graphics guy, if and when he sees this. So I've got this little glass thing I made earlier. So right now, let's just start over with this material. Let's get rid of that and start and do it all again. Get rid of that, get rid of that. Right. So yeah, this is Cinema 4D, but Octane works the same way everywhere, right? So anything I do in nodes, all the settings match. All the plugins work identically. There's no difference in nodes. Even I use Cinema 4D noise a lot because they're really good. Those are available in Modo too. They're available everywhere. They're available also in Octane standalone as well. So anywhere you go, you'll have the same set of nodes and the workflow is identical. Just some of the buttons might be in different places is all. Let's just make sure. Hopefully I'm not clipping all the time. Hopefully this sounds all right. Who knows? Anyway, yes, so we're going to start over. We've got a little sort of like backdrop, just a random HDR. Quite like this one. And yeah, let's just make some glass. So first off, let's go over the Octane settings. So this is exactly the same as one in Modo, just in different places. So this is the default settings. It comes in at 1600. We can change this to, let's do 2000, why not? Okay, it's already set to path tracing, so direct lighting just generally does not do transparent materials. It's not really going to work. You can sort of, it's kind of like, think of it like Eevee in Blender. It's biased, it's very quick. It's not as fast as Eevee, but it's probably better than Eevee. And it's almost real time as a render. It's a very, very quick renderer. It's like a preview renderer almost. You can do some cool stuff in it. I've used it before, but 9 times out of 10, go with path tracing. And GI clamp will also affect the speed of render, the cleanliness of the render quite a lot. I only learned about this pretty recently, to be honest. But yeah, let's just go and make ourselves a glass material and look at some of the options we've got available to us. So I'm going to go to Octane, Specular, inside Modo. This would be creating a regular material and then clicking Octane Override, and we might click Convert to Specular if it hasn't done it already. And that's just on the left-hand side up here. So, but we're in C4D, we're going to do it this way. So here we go. First things first, we can see our glass is a little bit sort of like grey, brown, I don't know, like not transparent enough, right? So let's just turn this on to all chat. There we go. So first things first is we're going to open up our material. Oops, wrong place. Go to here. And again, these modes are identical between Octane and Modo, so anything I do here, you can do one-to-one. Just how you get to the modes is a little bit different, but it's all the same stuff. So underneath our options here, the first thing we're going to do is change the BRDF model to GGX. It just transmits light better, basically, than the Octane one. I think it's slower though, so there's a speed hit. This should be quick, no matter what you're doing. So see how quick this is going? Your M per second should be, that's your relative render speed. If you're using even a moderately good graphics card, Octane's fast, right? You should be getting similar performance if you're using a relatively modern GPU, especially on a scene this simple, right? So we're already getting some little distortion-y bits inside this glass. That's because there's some imperfections actually baked into the model at the minute, right? So yours might look a little bit different, but we'll get there. So the first thing we've got to do, the defaults come out, I think it's the same in Modo as well, is if we go into here, and then underneath the reflection, the transmission, it comes in and defaults to this sort of grey colour. You can affect the glass colour via transmission, but that's not how it works in real life. The way to think of things in Octane is it's a spectral renderer. It's all very much grounded in real world numbers, everything it does. So that's part of the reason why it looks so pretty. It doesn't just take RGB values and convert them. It takes light spectrum and all sort of stuff that's way beyond my pay grade intellectually, and turns it into whatever. So the point is, transmission is not realistic, so we don't use it. So transmission should basically always be white, unless you're going for that specific look. But you can achieve the same look more accurately. In fact, let's do that quickly. Just duplicate the glass. I'll just show you. So we've got the same glass, and we'll create a second material. Octane, Specular, grab this one. Okay, and then we'll give this a name. We'll call this one Dirty. For our crappy glass, and we've got a good glass on the right here. So we see we've got a very similar thing. And if we open up this second one, do the same thing, and in transmission we'll change this to red, right? And we'll make the same red glass, but we'll do it sort of quote unquote properly, right? So we'll go back to this guy, and then what we're going to do is we'll go to medium, because glass color is a function of the contents of the glass and how they filter out light wavelength, right? So basically the medium just says, in this case an absorption medium, so scattering is for scattering subsurface, random walk is a different version of subsurface. Random walk's very, very good, and volume is for volumetric stuff, but we're going to go with absorption because we're absorbing light, which is what you do for water, glass, anything transparent. And very quickly, if you go under here, so we've got the absorption, this sets the parameters of your absorption. So density 100 is quite high, it sends down to 1 and it just goes clear again, right? This is a function of the size of the object. This is kind of relatively real world-ish scale. I haven't checked the scale yet, but whatever. So we'll just do density 1 for now. And then inside here, we can set displacement, but what we want to do is set absorption. And then we're going to set this to an RGB color. RGB. Or we can use color in this case. Color. Oops, color. Hang on. What are you doing? RGB. RGB spectrum? Fine. Right, and then we'll just set this also to primary red, and we can see it's picked up a hint of red, and it will transmit quite realistically and quite nicely. Already it looks like a little rose-coloured piece of glass. And we can see our renders are still very quick, and it's already quite pretty, I guess. It's not going to win any awards, but, you know, whatever. So, yeah, and then just to get it back to that dark red, let's make this fully red here, just red 1. And then we'll come back to here, and we'll set our density down to, like, 50. And we see already we're getting back to where we were, but it just looks so much better. 75, we're almost there. We'll do 100. And see that? We're getting this effect of the width of the glass. We're getting also free. It looks so much better. So basically, don't ever use transmission color. Always use absorption. You should do that kind of in any render that supports it. I know some standard surface stuff. Yeah, I know some standard surface stuff has other options, but I think it's just doing this under the hood anyway in those scenarios. So yeah, we'll change this back to white because we're doing a clear glass in this case. So if you're doing frosted glass, it's pretty straightforward. That's just in your roughness channel. So we've just got a float value here, and then just turn it up. You'll get some pretty nice rough glass. It does a really good job of simulating roughness, does old Octane. So yeah, you get quite a convincing rough glass already. So there's pretty much that. Same thing goes again, we can just power this with a texture. The nice thing you get in Cinema 4D you don't get in Modo is you drag out the opposite way from a node, it'll tell you, and you clear out the search, it'll tell you what nodes are compatible with that slot. But it's pretty self-explanatory. So if we go into our roughness, and then what we're going to do is do noise. I'm going to use this one. It's called noise. It's called Cinema 4D noise inside Modo, but this is, I use this all the time. There's really nice, really like art directable noise. I can't remember the keyboard shortcut in Modo, but you can solo. Oh, I've got Modo open actually. Oh, and the scene from yesterday. Well, let's just do this in here quickly before we... That's not running, is it? Turn that off. Right, yeah, so let's have a quick look. So if we do... what was I about to do? I was about to do something. What was it? It was... Come on, use your mind. Noise. Yes. So, soloing. That was it. So I think if you right-click, you should be able to... I think, was it still on D? I can't remember. Oh, no. Actually, I do remember. It is in the toolbar. Let's just quickly go into C4D. We will... pause this one, come back into Modo, and I think solo, memory serves, let's just start this back up again, give it a second, and then I think if we go into this RGB, why not, into the transmission, I think solo is there, solo node, so you can solo any node in the node tree and you see its contribution to the scene. Let's just get rid of this. We don't need this. Right, yeah, but inside Cinema 4D, it's just the D key, and then we can see. Let's just start this back up, actually, it's paused, isn't it? There we go, we can see our noise, what that's doing. And then, yeah, if we want to add some texture, we just do this. We have global scale, everything inside Octane has transform, projection, node inputs, pretty much anything that has a position. And you just pipe these in. So if I've got a projection, I say projection, and by default it's going to be set to UV, but I can choose my standard series of projections. Again, works the same way in Modo. So if a box projection, it's just going to do it. And then transform does what it says on the tin, transform. And obviously I can now share these between other nodes in the system, right? So I can rotate and scale stuff and all that kind of thing. But I don't need to do that right now. The only exception to this rule is if you're using triplanar projection. There is a triplanar option in here, but it doesn't work that way. So I can select, where is it? Oh, it's gone, no, it's there. Triplanar, but it's not actually going to do a triplanar projection. There's a triplanar node, and it goes the other way around. So you just take whatever input you have here, and then you just pipe it into the X. There we go. And then you just pipe the output into whatever you're piping into, and then you'll get triplanar projection. Let's turn that off. And then you can't really see a difference here, but it is making a difference. Just do that, and then go back on here, and we can see there's some change, I guess. You can't really tell the noise pattern, but you know, that's the point. Anyway, yeah, but you can sort of do triplanar. I think there's options here. If you've got different textures for each one, they default to having just the X plus, but you can pipe in other texture of different ones for different angles. But if you can standard triplanar, it just works like that. It's pretty easy. Nice. So yeah, if you're putting some noise into your roughness, there we go, simple as. A really common thing you do in Octane is if we do a gradient. I think in Monos it's called gradient, but inside here it's called Octane gradient. A handful of those have different names, but if in doubt, it'll just be the word Octane or the word Cinema 4D. All the other stuff works the same way. But yeah, a lot of things we do a lot of the time is you will pipe a noise into a gradient, and by piping it into a gradient, we get more fine-grained control over its contribution. So if we come into here and we set the dark point, so obviously we're making it less pronounced, right? We make this more grey. We get more control if we just pipe it into a gradient, and then we've got extra control. So we do this, we can bring up and bracket in, and we get quite very fine-grained control over our contribution of whatever. And we do this all the time. This is a really common thing. This is like a all-day long type thing. You get whatever texture you want, and if it's like, you know, like a non-color based thing, you just pipe it into a gradient, and then you get quite a lot of fine-grained control over how much of it's do, right? So if I grab this, I need to flip this, so you can also just invert these as well. This is just an invert. There we go. So yeah, if we need to invert, we've done this in white. I can't be bothered to change it properly. We can just drag and invert and just invert that map. And there we go. Give it a second to update. Boop. And there we go. We have inverted our noise, and then we've got, you know, we can just drag this around until we're happy. Anyway, this is just a crappy example for frosted glass. But yeah, in terms of render settings, so that's how you do sort of frosted glass. The same thing goes for, you know, everything's got clear coat. Same thing goes to displacement. So if you want to do displacement on this glass instead of roughness, let's turn this down. So you want to do displacement on this glass instead of roughness. Displacement has another intermediary node similar to absorption, which is just displacement. And there's two modes. This is one of the, again, like sort of pretty killer feature inside Octane is the displacement's incredibly good. So if I just pipe in this noise, this is quite a high poly mesh, so it should work. But you see, not a lot's happening. You can do texture-based displacement, but what it can also do, which I'd recommend most of the time, is vertex displacement. And this is super mega awesome inside Octane, because it just transmits so much detail into models really well. And also there's this little magic checkbox here which says auto bump map, which says anything that I can't represent at this geometric density inside of displacement, just pipe it into the bump map automatically. So sometimes you don't have to use a bump channel at all, but you just say, I want to displace this, whatever's left over, just pipe it into the bump, and then we get this very, very, very detailed. And again, we see how quickly this is still running. I'm not like I'm on a moderately good graphics card, but nothing too crazy. Yeah, can you see it? Yeah, 5070 Ti. So yeah, that's a thing that you get with Octane. Displacements are really, really good. And again, you can pipe this into a noise, into a gradient, and all that jazz. How do you specify absorption by depth? You don't. You don't do it by like a degree. It's a factor of scene scale, I think. So you just basically get density, and that sort of density, I mean, because it's 100 and it's white, it's not going to do anything. So it's like a multiplier. This is the best way to look at it. You don't sort of say it in like centimeters. Step percentage, if memory serves, these two these work more with volumes rather than absorption. But you just kind of feel it out, basically. I think there's some standard numbers lying around there for absorption, but you just sort of do it in quite an artisty way, and just sort of, honestly, most of the time you just feel it out, to be honest. I don't think you set it by like a set depth. You sort of eyeball it, but you get a good feel in Octane because it's just so kind of like artist friendly, you know, to put it whatever way. So if we want to have like I think I showed this in the previous one, but yeah, kind of like a realistic whatever transmission of like a bottly green glass, you can do something like this, and then you can sort of eyeball it. Same goes for index. So index or refraction, we can turn on caustics. You won't see much at the minute. If it gets into harsh light, obviously the caustics will show. Transmission, yep, set to white. Medium, we've already gone over medium. And then if we do dispersion, so we've got two options here. We've got Cauchy formula or an Abbe number. Cauchy formula is effectively the way it is. Cauchy formula is modo. So if you come from a modo, it's the same numbers, so you can pipe in their numbers for dispersion coefficient, or you can use an Abbey number. And I found out the other day this is in between 50 and 80 for crown glass, which is what most glass is. So we'll do 59, and then we'll get a nice bit of realistic dispersion going on here. But yeah, there shouldn't be, this window's already open, there shouldn't be many issues with, I mean, look how fast this scene's running. There's no real issues here right now. But yeah, in terms of render settings, the things you can do to kind of mess this up is if you have GI clamp set to a really high number, which it defaults to, that can allow more fireflies into the scene. So you can normally clamp it by 10. If you go lower, you'll start to lose a bit of transmission, but it's kind of, honestly, I just leave it at 10 most of the time. It just kind of works fine. You can play about with the depth of each individual ray. Ray epsilon you can leave alone 9 times out of 10. It's about ray epsilon and filter size, basically. Well, ray epsilon determines, like, it's more for very large or very small scenes. So it's like the size of a gap that a photon fits through, basically, if memory serves. You can kind of leave it alone 9 times out of 10. It'll just be fine. Yeah, so that is that bit. What else do I need to cover on the glass stuff? Let's see. Do I have... It's going to load. You're going to load. You're going to load. You're going to load. So we go to textures, and I've got some imperfections here. Let's put some fingerprints on this glass. Let's grab out this. It's a quick... Give it a second. Should load. Come on, hurry up. Sort your life out. There we go. That's it's just accessing the drive it's sat on, not the actual. It's not a C4D thing. So yeah, we've got a texture. So if we put this back into, and we can do the same thing we did before. So if we want to have like these are sort of a little fingerprint texture. So we'll just wham this on here. And what's quite nice is we can press D or the solo button inside mode, and we can see our fingerprints on the glass. They actually look pretty good. They don't have to be super accurate. There's some horrible, janky little line down the side of there, but that's fine. Probably do a slightly better job of this. So we'll just pipe this into a triplanar. So we'll just do trip. Boop. I'm a little bit rusty because I've been using Redshift for a couple of weeks. But yeah, there we go. And then we should be able to unsolo that. Give it a second. And put a few little fingerprints on our glass. And then same thing we do here. So what we can do with textures, they work the same way. So we've got gamma. Leave that to whatever your image is. We can change this to a non-color image if we want. In this scenario, it does a pretty good job of knowing. I think if you had a non-alpha image, you could change the color space, but most of the time, if you've got an alpha, you can leave it on whatever, but you can change it to non-color data. And then power effectively sets the gray point of the white point of the image for you. So you don't have to necessarily pipe it through a gradient like we did before. So let me just show you this in action. So let's just put D on that. So yeah, if we bring down our power, basically, it just does that. And you can invert directly on the textures. Textures are actually really nice to work with inside Octane. So we can turn it down a little bit and reduce our smears on our glass. So we've got some fingerprints on our glass. Hooray! Yeah. So let's just, I'm going to crack on now and actually get on with the, is there anything else? Any more questions? I think that's kind of it, really. There's stuff you can do with the imager, which is kind of like a pseudo post effect thing. One of my objectives today is I want to play around with a new feature. I might as well show you it. A new feature inside Octane that I've been really looking forward to. Actually, 2 features. One I haven't used and one's new. That's analytic lights, which I don't fully understand yet, and the realistic camera. So let's just add a Octane camera to the scene. So up here, Octane camera. I think in Modo, just set a camera, it's set to camera. And I think also in Blender, it's just by default, if you've got Octane set as your renderer, it'll just default, I think, to having Octane attributes on a camera. But in C4D, it's a tag. So we come into the Octane tag and we can choose camera type. Default is thin lens. I'm doing a little very rough demo on what this is. They're all pretty self-explanatory, but thin lens is your default sort of camera. Panoramic is a panoramic camera. Baking, OSL, don't worry about that. But most of the time you're using thin lens, universal, or this new one, which is called realistic lens. Thin lens is like your everyday general camera. Universal is basically does all the things this does and more. It's a bit more complicated to use. You can have much more control over like various lens effects for. So instead of like just pointing a flat thing at a screen, Octane's actually, in the case of the universal camera and realistic lens, it's actually simulating the transmission of glass, or like the transmission of light through the glass in the camera, especially the realistic one. So it's a physical model of the various distortion in the elements in the glass, is my understanding, in the realistic one, and a bit in universal. So we go to universal, our second tab here has all our options. So we've got, f-stop, depth of field, stuff like that. Optical vignetting, let's just quickly switch to this camera, and then if we turn up vignette, we'll get a vignette. Where are we? Oh, there you go. Turn up the scale, and then you get, so this is quite subtle, because it's the vignetting inside the lens versus there's a post effect vignette, which is a lot stronger. But I don't really use the universal camera ever, really, because I don't really see the point, to be honest. But yeah, most of the time you use the thin lens, but the realistic camera is really interesting because it's got some really cool features. So basically they took apart, I think basically they took apart a bunch of real lenses, and then mapped all of their attributes. So it's just like putting a lens in front of a camera. So that's the thing also that I love about Octane. It's very, it gives you that, if you've ever done like cinematography, or if you're into photography in real life, you really get a good sense and feeling of like things just react, and they sort of feed back to you in such a way it feels very natural. Also it looks very pretty, like very, very easily. But yeah, the feedback in Octane is just so nice. There's no other renderer that quite does it the same way. So there's a similar button, I think, in Modo as well. We're just setting manual aperture, basically, with this. It's a better icon, I think, in Modo. This is the same as the default one. Yeah, underneath realistic camera, so what I want to play with today is, yeah, got 100mm lens. Let's do like a 50mm, and it's modeled based on a real 50mm lens, so you'll get some more, it's not just a distance and thing, right? In terms of the character of the bokeh and the way the light, you can see, like, hang on, you might just see if I sort of point it over the edge. Let's just get a thing. You might get a sense of, let's go into viewing angle, depth of field. Let's turn on autofocus. Yeah, you get some like bokeh and like lens distortion characteristics that are really, look at it, it's gorgeous. So very nice. And then if we go into, I'll show you the imager quickly. So if we go into the imager, I'll just turn this on. So imagers like post effects, as well as like putting on, you can put on LUTs and have them display real time. So we can find like a nice old camera stock, like look at that, beautiful. And again, these are, it interprets LUTs really well. It can do a lot with it. It uses a lot of the spectrum of light all the time. So you get just like, you can just play and just have gorgeous things happen in Octane. It's just very pleasant to work with. We're just playing, and we've got a render that looks like this. And if I wasn't talking, I could have done this in 2 minutes. That's how pretty Octane is. And then we've got our lens-based vignetting, which is also physically based. So it's not just doing a brown thing on the edges. It's doing a real vignette based on the parameters of the lens. But there's a better vignette built into, I don't know, it's a bit complicated. There's a better vignette built into the cameras. But yeah, we can just, you can do stuff like this and just pick up, or you can do custom LUTs as well, if you want to do that. 9 times out of 10, I'd either take it into Fusion, or I just pick one that looks good. And so often you can just use this thing straight out of the camera, which is normally with other renderers, I'd never say ever take the output from the render and just use it, but it's pretty good. Right, so it just puts back on sRGB. And you got things like the denoiser here, so it's literally just, there we go, denoiser's on, and there we go. We want to do an upsampler, which I don't really ever use, but you can sort of halve the rate, and you can see we've got a very fast rate here, so it's just rendering at, it's DLSSing basically. It's rendering at half the resolution, and then at the end of the process it's going to, come on, hurry up, it's going to use its little AI pass thing to denoise it, but yeah, we haven't got enough information there, especially for glass with lots of little tiny reflections and stuff like that. It always looks like crap, so I never use the upscale, but denoiser sometimes. And it's pretty much that straightforward. There's 2 different denoisers built in. They both work great. I think the denoiser in Redshifts is probably a little bit better. But, you know, yeah, open car air stuff, custom LUTs so I can pick. Oh, hello, I haven't seen these. Oh, that's spelt wrong. Look, they spelt strength wrong. I mean, these are horrible, but yeah, you can bring your own LUTs. Just fun. Yeah, so also you've got post effects, so you can turn those on. We get some cool stuff like bloom, lens flares, etc., etc. But yeah, I'm going to start on my actual scene in a minute. I'm just going to quickly show you the lights. So Octane lights are also really interesting. Let's do an area light for now. Octane lights are always geometry. I don't know why. There's some reason for it. I don't really understand. But they are. But also Octane lights are super duper beautiful as well, as are the daylight environments. Also work really nicely. You can just make things look really pretty really easily. So let's turn this light down. So light controls are really straightforward. So we've got an Octane light tag here. Power is power. Surface brightness, you want to turn this off. So basically surface brightness says make the power of the light a factor based on the scale of the light. Long story short, it means light scale is attached to its power. It's really annoying. I don't ever use it. And then most of them use power, and it's got light temperature built in. So if you like, again, these behave like real world lights. You have really, you have realistic control over lights, and you don't have to necessarily think about the numbers as much in this case because it's not really relevant. This makes it very arty, directable, so I can have a hotter, cooler lights, whatever, and it just feels great, and it has IES lights, has all the lights you want, and they always look really good. Let's turn down our so again, if we're doing materials, so if you're in Blender, Modo, you can just drag in and it will just pass through the environments from the shader tree. But in here we go objects and we've got a bunch of options. Let's do a daylight environment. Let's get rid of our backdrop. Have it just floating in space. Let's get rid of our light as well. And we'll just light this with a sky. So let's do Octane daylight environment. And what we're going to do actually, we're going to go into our camera. I'm just going to turn this back to thin lens for a second because we can control, not to worry so much about whatever. So yeah, Octane daylight environment. These work especially nicely in Cinema 4D. Actually, they're really cool. So if we go on here, here's our Octane light tag. And there's two things actually which are worth noting as well. In Octane, there are two ways to have an environment. You have primary, which is one that has a light contribution, or you can have visible. So if you just want to have something which will affect, I think it only affects the reflections, but it won't, something about the difference in light contribution. Basically, visible environment just means that you can see it, or whatever, or in primary is like proper guy. So good at explaining stuff. So let's go back to that. So yeah, we've got a bunch of daylight models. Again, this works the same way in Modo. The button's just in some different places, but everything works the same way in Octane. Any host application, it's what's quite nice about it. So I always use Nishita because it's my favorite. And one cool thing you get, so also if you use in Modo, if you use a physical sun, that hooks up. So if you have a physical sun set up and you do the locations with a Modo physical sun, it'll use that with a daylight environment, it'll link up and it'll track the position and sun position stuff. You can do that interactively there. It works great. But inside Cinema 4D, we have this thing here, which is a sun expression. Annoyingly, this is turned off by default. So I was playing this for ages, like, why isn't it working? It's because on basic, it's set to enabled by, it's not set to enabled by default. I don't know why. But anyway, now we've got this hooked up, we can set our time of day. There we go. It's 13:57. Set your city, all the general stuff. Let's make it December. There we go. Look at that. December in Mauritius. Why not? And yeah. Oh, we've got some lens flaring turned on. Let's face the sun. Let's get some nice flares. Actually, we probably should make it midday in somewhere. Let's do June. And let's go to Los Angeles. There we go. And then what we'll do is we'll set this to 12. So midday. So the sun should be, that's a stupid time. Let's do it like, I don't know, 2 p.m. Oh, you're an idiot. No, I want to see the sun. Hang on. Let's do 3 p.m. There we go. Where is it? Where are you? Why can't I see the sun? There's the sun. There we go. And yeah, we get these, give it a second to load. We get these, there's some control over this. I don't really use the light rays, but this is all powered by the imager. So if we come back, let's do 10 AM. Let's have the sun a bit lower so it's easier to frame. Should have done this in the first place, really. Where are you? Where is the sun? It's about somewhere. I don't know. I don't know anything. Let's go into here. Let's make our sun bigger. Yeah, so we have all these controls. We can make the sun bigger or change. Just make it 10. So we've got a massive sun. So even an idiot like me can find it. Why can't I find the sun? It's still really high in the sky. What am I doing? Whatever. Anyway, yeah, so we go back into the imager. And then if we zoom in on this a little bit, whoop, you can see everything stays pretty. The thing that's also really one of my favorite things in Octane is also how responsive the live viewer is. So obviously it's fast, but it gets you results you can make sense of really quickly. It's hard to describe, but actually I'm going to show you what I mean, because it's a weird thing that is actually super duper mega awesome. So if I come into, I'll make a new file and I'll set this one to Redshift. So Redshift's also very good, and Redshift's faster than Octane in most scenarios. If I do a similar thing, give it a second to fire up. Doesn't crash. Octane's way more, this is going to crash, isn't it? Octane's way more stable than Cinema 4D. Octane used to have a really bad, oh man. This is so going to crash. Octane used to have a really bad reputation for being quite unstable. It's not unstable, it's really, really stable now. So we can see how quick this is. But if we do something similar here, so we come over here and I'll do whatever. We'll go into Redshift and we'll do glass. The integration C4D Redshift is really amazing though. So I'll just do whatever, download that, drag it on. Shouldn't have done a, let's do a sphere. There we go. Basic glass, and then so some nice things we can do here. We're going back into my HDRIs. I'll do come on, there we go. I'll do whatever, that. Nice, yeah, so you can see, it's a really weird distinction, but if I set the same scene up in Octane, although it's very simple stuff we're doing here, right? But in more complex scenes, you get better feedback, for lack of a word of putting it, really, really quickly. So if you've got something really heavy, the speed to you getting a good understanding of what's going on with the scene is a much faster time to arrival in Octane versus something else. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Hopefully that makes sense. Let's just quickly turn on dispersion side here. Let's do caustics. There we go. Try and slow it down a little bit. But then also you have the trade-off is Redshift's crazy fast. I'm kind of loving it. It's great. It's not about, they're all just tools, aren't they, at the end of the day? So let's turn this back on. Yeah, so the image determines things like, so we've got some blowout here. But yeah, a lot of this comes down to the image. If you turn off the post effects, some of those are going to disappear, but we're already seeing some of those. So some artifacting coming in here. There's not much you can do about this because we've got dispersion turned on the glass. So we come back to our material, go back to dispersion, and we turn this back to 0. It's going to clean up pretty damn quick. And you still get some noise. We're looking at very small reflections here. There's going to be noise. At some point, you're going to have to just put more time into your render. That's just how it goes. But anyway, enough about that. It's very easy to make things look pretty in Octane, is the long and short of it. And I'll cover some more as I get to it. Right, so let's get back to actually what I'm doing in my scene. What am I doing in my scene? That's a good question. So I want to do like a bar scene. I just made this glass earlier. So yeah, analytic lights, which are awesome. I didn't actually show you a minute ago. Probably should have done, but whatever. They're just like a type of very accurate light, effectively. Imagine like, it's kind of like an IES light, but without the images, really. I don't know. I don't know. It's probably why I want to play with it because I don't really get them. But yeah, they're really good lights, basically. But I want to make like a little bar scene. I like doing things with glass, and I've just keep wanting to do it, and I haven't. So I'm going to just build some stuff. The other thing I want to do as part of this, start up. There we go. As part of this is I have a way of working that I'm exploring, which is just the same way I did this glass earlier. Let's turn off our material. Get rid of this, actually. Get rid of that. Yeah, which is I'm just enjoying using the mesh, the volume builder to make models. I don't like UVing stuff. I don't like manually doing topology. I like modeling the kind of things where it doesn't matter that much, so I can just do that and save myself tons of time, not model too much. So I'm exploring the limitations of that at the minute. So that's how this, and it's got a little bit of sculpting on top of it, but apart from that, it's just a little glass. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do in my scene. That's what I think about it. Let's get some reference imagery. Probably got, I don't know how I'm going to spend doing this. Also, so bar scene glass. I spent too much time talking. A lot of time making things. Yeah. Like, hang on, let me just go into here. Like this kind. No, shut up, stuck. Like this kind of thing. Not that specifically, because that one, but like, you know, that kind of like vibe, like just a thing at a bar. I don't know. Don't judge me. Something like that, right? Moody, atmospheric, kind of cool. So yeah, let's do it. Basically, and this is the only. I was just pissing around earlier on. I had this glass and I kind of had fun with it. But let's make some more. I guess let's make ourselves a little whiskey glass. I guess, and play about with this little workflow I've been dicking around with. So let's do that. So I'm going to make a little. I'm not even going to make one because the best corners are the ones you cut. So actually, in my models, I think let's do whiskey. I think yeah, we go. This is actually a Modo asset that I rebuilt. Well, I didn't rebuild it. That makes it sound like I did some work. No, I just piped it into the volume builder, and I have a glass, a nice little whiskey glass. I'm going to keep that. Put that in my little back pocket, and I think I'm going to put like a bar in. I guess let's just do that. And then we're just going to create a little bar. Don't know what I'm going to do with any of this yet. We'll just figure it out. We'll just figure it out as we go along. Let's make up as we go along. It's our world. We can do what we want. Add a bit of a fillet to that. That's way too much. There we go. Lovely. And then I think if this is like my bar, I have a little bar back there, I guess. I think I want some beer taps. Should we make some beer taps? Yeah, let's do some beer taps. Let's call this one bar. And then we're going to hide it. Boop, boop. One thing I like doing a lot at the minute is, although the outliner object layer thing inside C4D is pretty good, I'm using layers a lot more at the minute. They're pretty good. So I can do, boop, boop, boop. So I can do, for example, this, and I go add to layer, and then we go down to here, and I can hide it. And of course, one to hide. Don't know why I'm calling it that, but yeah, it's just a little thing I'm doing recently. You can hide various aspects of things inside layers. You can use the group stuff, but also hide things in visibility. I really like it. It's nice. So, right. And let's get rid of those for now as well, because I don't want to look at those. There we go. Right, so fine. And then also get rid of this. I'm going to put some new layer. So where you can, this isn't really parametric. Let's get rid of that. Actually, we don't need that anymore. So when I create something parametrically, that's another reason why layers come in quite handy, is because, well, I'll just do it. I'm going to make myself a beer pump. I'm going to do it the lazy way, I think. So I'm going to get some reference up on the screen that you can't see. Beer pump. Yeah, okay. Something like, something a bit more with a bit of visual interest in it. Something kind of like this, I guess, right? Very European. And it really, you know, it's organic and all that sort of stuff. Let's make that. I'm probably just not even going to, because again, best corners of the corner cut. I'm not going to do the whole thing. I'm going to do the bottom of it. Because why not? So let's have a look at how this looks. I'm going to get this back up again. So it's like roughly a kind of cubey boy. Get to expose how insanely lazy I am, which is great. And we'll do this all parametrically because it's fun. Yeah, it's really fun. So something kind of like that, and then we're going to go into. I think this isn't necessarily. Let me just open link in new tab. It's not a very big image, but who cares? This guy. So I'm just going to do this with. I think that should be another. So that stem is not round, right? So I'm just going to do, and I'll bend it at the top but I'll probably go up to here and stop, and I'll probably put something at the bottom here, give it some more detail, but I don't need the top of it. Or I could do, I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go along. So I'm going to duplicate this, and then I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. Could even do a hexagon, I guess. I'm going to give this a big old fillet, just so it's, yeah, I think so. And then, see how we go with it. And this is what I really enjoy about this little workflow at the minute, because I can just start doing stuff. Actually, just hide both of these. There we go. Oh, there you go. Right, so and I can grab this, just both of these, come into here. Oops, come into here, add a volume builder, drag them in, and just like that, it's an SDF. So that's nice. Let's go down to 3 centimeters, and then we can just start seeing how we want this to look. So SDF smooth does what it says on the tin, but what we can do here is we've got this radius option here. So let's make this on 10 centimeters, and that will change the transition between the two shapes when they get merged inside the SDF. So if we do 20, it's going to smooth it off. Oops. Oh, okay. Well, that's a happy accident. That's why I like this. Happy accidents. Happy accidents are great. So cube 1. Let's make this really tall. Okay, so I don't actually, no, this shouldn't be a cube, should it? Let's make this let's do a cylinder. And if we drag it in, it's just going to start merging straight away, which is great. I think the one thing I'd like this to do, if we get away with it, is, actually, you know what? I'm going to go one better than actually. Let's think ahead. Let's make this art directable. Let's go and we will add a end side, and then we'll add a, come to this view here. Where's that top? That's top there. Right. Where are we? Where are we? Hang on. I was going to show that, isn't it? Let's grab our cube out for a second. Let's just do that. There we go. There's our cube. So we've got our end side up here, and then what we're going to do, we're going to create a little spline. If you haven't used the spline tools inside C4D, you are missing out because they are so good. It makes up for how crappy the modelling tools are. So yeah, got a little spline. What we're going to do, we're going to grab ourselves a little sweep. Doop-a-doop, boob-a-doop. Wrong way around. There we go. Turn our end side down. So now we've got like a general hexagonal guy. Let's go into our, wrong one, that one. And then grab our spline, and we'll just quickly sort this out. A new one here, there we go. And then we'll get rid of this old one here, get rid of that. And then I can't remember the shortcut to, there we go. Probably should. Oh no, that's it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Right, so we're done. So yeah, we've got a little nice controllable guy here. Grab that, wham it in our volume builder, wham that in our volume builder, turn that back on. Hey, and then now, because we've got it in an end side, we can turn on round, or reverse rounding. And then we can figure out how much, so we can, you know what I mean? We've got like a, going back to this, it's not quite a, you know what I mean? It's like a flattened guy. And we'll do this all parametrically because we're having fun. It's our little world, you know? Let's make that one 30, because that probably will do something. No, 30. All right, yeah, good enough. And then we'll throw a smooth on top of it. And we're already getting somewhere. Let's just go and I'm going to make this editable. Press C, press 2. No, actually, not do that. I'm going to take off my fillet because I don't need that. Press C, press 2, and we'll just bring down this guy here like that a little bit. And we'll bring the front just a little bit like that. And then we'll just, so yeah, so for stuff like this, you know what, I bitch, but like about the modeling tools in C4D, but they're kind of okay-ish if this was working properly. They're okay. They're not like the best thing in the world. What am I doing here? I don't know all the keyboard shortcuts though. And like there's part of me that doesn't really even want to learn. Like if I'm going to be modeling anything seriously, I'm still going to be doing it in Modo. Let's be real. Let's be real here. Okay, yeah, so I'm probably just going to cut the bottom of this off, right? I reckon. So some kind of like that, and then yeah, and I'll probably make these two wider. There we go. And then probably around the back. I'm going to do that as well. I'll do another one back there. There we go. There we go. And then what I'll do inside my volume builder, I'm going to go into my cube. Okay. I'll do that, yeah. And then I think we might be getting somewhere already actually with that. Okay. Okay. So yeah, all this needs to be is like kind of vaguely a thing. So I'm going to grab another cube, drag that in under a volume builder. I'm going to set it to subtract. The only thing that annoys me about this actually is we've got a little list under here, and the volume builder doesn't respect the list of the objects as they're dragged in the outliner in the object viewer, which is annoying. So you have to come back in here. But you can get an SDF smooth object. So I turn my smooth off. Hang on, where's my cube? Got my new cube. New cube. There we go. And then that's just going to cut the bottom off. Like so. Yeah, so we can even do things like SDF smooth, and I can put this as a layer in here. But then if I add another object into here, let's add another cube and bring this in, it will sit above it still because it hasn't changed in here. And like, if I do that, it won't update. It just stays the same. It really annoys me. I just want it to sync, or an option to have it sync. Maybe I'm being dumb, there is an option. That's another thing, one thing I kind of like about C4D is like often when you've got a thing, you're like, oh, why isn't it there? And actually a lot of the time, it does. It's just kind of good like that. What was I doing again? Oh yeah. I don't need that cube. That cube's rubbish. So, I think in all my excitement, what I've done is I've made my little guy to again on this cube. We'll just do 3, 5. Yeah, so one thing I have changed on here is I've changed some keyboard shortcuts to be a bit more Modo-centric. And yeah, what I like about this, again, is, and the specific reason actually why I like modelling this at the minute, is because you get lots of imperfections, which I think is pretty cool. Where's my spread? Right. So yeah, you get a lot of imperfections because like you have bits where like parts intersect weirdly, and you get like little faults and failures when you convert it to a mesh. Just the main reason why I like this, to be honest, more than the actual laziness of the whole thing, is you get like these little fuck ups in the process of converting the SDF to a mesh, which translate into surface imperfections you get for free in the final model. It's pretty cool. So things you have to meticulously model in by hand, you can just sort of do very lazy and sort of get for free. I'll show you some more of that in a minute, which I really, really, really enjoy. So what we're doing here, we're going back into my, I've been talking too much, I'm not really getting anything done here. So I'm going to go and do one of them. There is a keyboard shortcut for this, but again, ain't no got time for that at the minute. There we go. Let's get in there. And then I like the fact that my underlying geometry is so hatefully bad. But you know what? I don't actually have to think about it unless it's all... I've also made it uneven because, you know, apparently that's how I roll. But you know what? When you see it, just we see this much of it from this angle, it's not going to matter in the slightest. So we're just going to probably put it on like a little wooden plinth or something, I guess. And then, yeah, but that looks kind of like in the ballpark of what I'm doing. I think I've put this on the other way around, but I am okay with it. I'm fine with it. It looks plausible. Wait, maybe that way around, wouldn't it? Yeah, that's good enough. Right, so next step. So we've got the basics of this, and again, it's still super parametric. And back in Modo day, I remember when what's it called? Mesh Fusion came out. I always found it really clunky. I found the workflow really annoying. I found it really clunky. and this is like a version of that just kind of works a bit better. So yeah, we see we've got like all these imperfections, and then what I keep doing at the minute a lot, and we've got like, you know, little jaggies and stuff, and obviously this is horrible geometry, right? Let's just look at this. Let's just look at this. Look at this abomination. Can we see it? Let's just do NA. NB, there we go. Yeah, we can see we've got horrible blobby geometry, but what we can do now is we can pipe it into, and this is my favorite little thing, a remesh. So this is actually Z Remesher from Z Remesher of ZBrush fame. And actually, you know what? So if I do NA again, oh, NB, sorry. And then look at that. That's actually, shockingly, kind of all right. So I think what I want to do, actually, if I come back into my volume mesher, we'll do under here. This is my Cutty Cube. I'm going to call this one Cutty Cube because that's its name. I spelt it wrong. It's fine. It's fine. Cutty Cube don't matter. Cutty Cube don't care about anything. Cutty Cube's actually really insecure. And like, I don't know what I'm going on about. Anyway. Right. Okay, so see, we've got like okay-ish geometry, and also we can pipe in some imperfection to it. So one thing I, again, am also enjoying doing as well is using some of this crap, some of the modifiers inside the thing. So I put this inside the stack, not under the displacer, just somewhere in here. And I go shading, and I do shader, and I do noise. And then let's just turn off my remesh. Actually, you can slow everything down. What's that spline doing? What are you doing over here? Yeah, so I do my displacer. I think, where does it need to go? I think it needs to go down here. Let's just close this up in this hierarchy. Let's go with that. There we go. So yeah, we can do this inside the mesher, or we can do it inside individual objects inside our volume builder. But yeah, we can add a little bit of noise. Obviously, this is crazy. So we'll go into the noise. And again, it's one thing I really like about the C4D noise. It's the same noise everywhere. So obviously now we're displacing actual geometry, but if we bring this into our volume builder, it should be working, he says. Has he forgotten how he does this? Is he talking to himself in third person? 30%. Oh no, hang on, let's do it. It has to be under a, I think so. Wait, have I forgotten how to do this? You should be able to do a displacement inside a thingy doodah. Objects. Just do. Oh no, it's working. It's this is really big, and I'm a dum dum. Right, so we go into there, and yeah, so we can add the noise directly to the. Let's make this 5%. You can add the noise directly. It's not the mesher as well, so it's probably a little bit better. And if I want more detail, I can just change the size of my voxels. Give it a second. It's going to be way slower. And yeah, there we go. Wow. So let's look in my displacer object, make the height 1 centimeter. And then we'll just do size, and we'll make this 100% just so you can see it. Hooby goob. I made it too small. Oh, it's 1 centimeter. Idiot. Make it 5. 5 centimeters, that'd be better. Or 10 even. Let's do 10. Give it a sec. Wait. Oh, there's not enough geometry. Ah, you idiot. My cube has no. Hang on, let's just do this. Subdivide. Oh, hey, didn't crash. That's always good. Yeah, I do get crashes in Cinema 4D, but like normally it's when I'm doing something stupid and probably deserve it. Which I'm cool with. I'm okay with that in concept, right? Like, that's kind of fine. Let's do some in my sweep as well. Let's do on my sweep. We'll just do isopalms. We'll turn this up to 32 segments. Cool. And then what we can do is let's do some other fun, because I'm working so slowly and won't get anything done. I have to leave in about half an hour. I might as well just do some of the fun little C4D tricks I've picked up. For reference, I'm not like a C4D pro or anything. I do use it quite a lot, but I have only been back. I used to use it tons way back. It's like 10%. I used to use it tons back in the day. Back in the back in a previous life. So before I was a Modo person, I did C4D. It was my life. It was my love, my greatest joy. I don't even know what I'm doing here anymore. I can just do this later. There we go. We've got something. That looks crap anyway. What was my point here? Yeah. And then I went off and did Modo for forever, and now I'm back. We're back. What am I doing here? And did I turn off my SDF smooth? I think I did. Let's do that. Boop. 2 centimeters. Give it a sec. Yeah, so now I'm sort of back in C4D land, and for the most part, really enjoy it. So I don't really like this base. Let's go even more parametric here. Let's just redo that bit. Drag it back in. Boop. And then what we'll do is we'll grab our cube. Let's turn off our volume mesher and our remesh. So yeah, we're doing this all like we're piping it through. Another thing, these things just tend to kind of work, right? Like you just play with stuff and it works. Like we are remeshing this in real time, but also generating a mesh from an SDF in a stack, and you just add stuff and it carries on going. It just works. It just works so often that we have to think about it half the time. Like I said, crashes normally come when you've done something to really deserve a crash. Let's do that, and then what we'll do, we'll add do a taper. Why not? Do a taper on there. Fit to parent, and then we'll just do one of them. Our cube. Yeah, that's certainly a thing. Oops. Yeah, that's a thing that we're doing. And look, we haven't got any editable objects. I think a lot of C4D people take it really too seriously, keeping everything editable, and some of them are like properly allergic to dealing with real geometry, and I get it because the modeling tools are the single worst thing about this application, but I do get it. Right, so we're going to do our cube, make it a little bit bigger. There we go. I'm going to turn our taper up a little bit more. There we go. There we go. And then also we'll keep this super. So yeah, I don't try and do this the entire time. Like I think I describe myself as like a pragmatic person. I don't necessarily. I'm not a purist. I don't really care as long as the work gets done, kind of thing. No, that's not true. That makes sound sloppy. I'm not necessarily sloppy, but is that going the right way? There's nothing that really does my head in. That doesn't do anything. Why doesn't it do anything? We can just rotate this in the viewport. Minus 90, and then what we'll do is we'll go back into our shear. And we'll do strength. One sec. Hello again. Sorry. What's it say? Yeah, I'm not necessarily. There we go. That's the one I wanted. Yeah, I'm not necessarily like. I'm not a purist, right? Like you can just, if it works, do it. Basically. Okay, and then we go back into here, into our volume builder, and on our cube, let's do SDF smooth, and our cube will turn us up to 40, because why not? There we go, let me smooth that. That's better, I think. That's better, isn't it? Yeah, and we'll probably make it even bigger, make something 50. And yeah, like I like the sort of artist-driven stuff. We get little happy accidents and all that kind of thing. So it doesn't have to be. I don't lose my mind if things aren't exact. That's so much better. Things aren't an exact way, it's fine. Actually, I'm going to save this. Oh, okay. We've got a scene for it. Fine. Cool. All right. Yeah. Things that, like, I won't freak out if things aren't a certain way or anything like that. I don't really care. Except things are primarily, first and foremost, they got to work. So if I can get away with not... There's a phrase, if you're not English, you won't know this phrase, but it's called spending 20 quid to save a tenner. Which is basically going out your way so far, you're spending £20 to save 10. And yeah, although I probably could have actually modeled this traditionally much faster, I'm also on a bit of a discovery. A bit of a discovery where I can play and create something fun, and then we'll just push this through the remesh, and then we'll see how this comes out. A little beer tap. Lovely. That is good enough, sir. That is good enough for now, and we'll see if it's shit. We'll change it later. It's all fine. We haven't wasted much time, and also we're learning, aren't we? We're just doing some new shit. It's all good. So go back into my layers. I'm going to turn to hide back on. I'm going to take our bar. So what we do is remove from layer, and then we just hide this again. Boop. And now we should have our where's my bar? Oh, there it is. Doop, 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 doop. There we go. My bar is there. My little guy. So yeah, what I do now is like, so I do like tap, and then I don't necessarily, if I press C, it will bake this all down into geometry. But what I'll do is I'll put this into a new layer, add new layer, and I'll call this layer generators. Ooh, generators tools. And then I will change the color of that, actually. Make that one blue. There we go, nice positive color. And to hide, I'll make orange, because why not? Why not? Ugh, that's not a very nice orange, hang on. Such a designer, there we go. Right. And then what I'll do is I'll also hide generators. So then I've got I can hide the thing that made it, and then I can not dick about and have the overhead in my scene of having it. I should have done this afterwards, actually. Yeah, have the overhead of having this sat around, so I don't have, like, it'll no longer process. Anyway, let's turn all this off. Turn it all off. Turn them all off. There we go. Whatever. Oops. There we go. Yeah. So we don't have to worry about the overhead of having all this stuff in here. And I can press C. I think I've already made a mistake because this is going to be so high density. I think. Oh, that's way too much. That's way too much. What are you doing? Hang on, we'll go back, and then we'll go back to attributes, and I'll change this down to like, I don't know, 20%, whatever. We'll just play. But actually, let's go into our volume builder, and we'll turn this down to 2.5 centimeters. And yeah, like that's so the main reason doing this in the volume builder is when you're doing like organically shaped stuff, it fucks bits of it up for you in a way that I find mostly quite nice, and it's also kind of like non-destructive. So I have to dick about. Oh shit. Yeah, I have to dick about what have I done here? Hang on. Doop, 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 doop. Have I busted something up? Let's get rid of that tap one. We'll duplicate out tap one more time. Inside my volume builder, let's turn it back down to 2.5, so 2.5 centimeters. Sick. And then go into here, and then we'll just hide, and we'll just turn all this off. I'm pretty sure if it's hidden here, it won't also generate memory serves. I don't think so. Anyway, press C, and there we go. Did I turn down the... Oh, fuck, that's too much geometry. Talking. Also, I lost my bloody remesh. Where's my remesh gone? Is that the boo-boo? Let's do this, and we'll go... remesh. Inside remesh, what we'll do, we'll make this one like 25%, or let's make it like 40%. Cool. And then we'll see. And we'll bake that bad boy down. Go into our layers. And if I hide this, weird. And then tap one. Oh, don't know what I did there. Whatever. Anyway, point is, I've got it now. I've got it now. Right, there we go. Course guy, tap. fascinating stuff, isn't it? So let's just do a little bit of art direction here. We'll just grab that up and we'll just wham that over there. And then which was our bar facing? Let's do that way around. There you go. Oops. Oops. 180. And then honestly, for now, let's not overcommit. Okay, and then what we'll do is Octane Metallic. We'll just wham a little basic metallic on there for now. And then what we'll do is we'll go Objects, HDRI. HDRIs. I think I've got like something bar shaped in here. Let's go with, I like this. I love the Circus Arena thing. This one is great. Let's go back into attributes. There we go. Drag that into that. Do. It's fun, isn't it? I've got a blurred one somewhere as well. You can blur HDRs in Octane, but I can't be asked doing that right now because we're just playing. So let's get some wood on this bar. Why not? Why not? And I'm going to use a preset for this because, again, cutting corners is good. We're going to go Octane materials in there. It shouldn't be. Let's do. I thought I changed that. Yeah, materials. What wood? I think. Oh no. Oh no. So I bought a kit. I think I just bought the. I'm sure I bought the other one for. Did I just buy that one? I didn't think that was the case. Yeah, I was in the middle of merging my materials together because you've got Octane ones, so like this asset browser can sort between the different. Oh, actually, let's use while we're here. Actually, let's use this is from a company called New Plastic, or a guy called New Plastic. It's really good. The stuff he does is excellent. And again, if you don't have to do it, don't do it. What would this be? This is made out of it's not silver, it is it's chrome, isn't it? It's chrome? Do I have, let's just go ahead of chrome. I don't have a chrome. That's annoying. Okay, well let's just make this a little bit better actually. We'll go for a less OTT environment for now as well, something a bit more neutral. Let's go back to my good old friend, bedroom guy. This one, where is it? So just duplicate this, and then we'll come into this, and then there he is. I don't know why I like this bedroom thing so much. This is a default that comes with C4D. It's not one of mine. There's some of mine are mixed in here. I have too many HDRIs, but only a few of mine are in here. But I looked the other day and I had, what was it? Environments. I have 653. Is that too many? I think it might be too many. Right, yeah, so let's turn this one on. Let's call this one like, give it a sec. Boop. Yeah, I just like this one because it's really nothingy. It's really kind of crap, but in a good way. If that makes sense. It's like I'm still a HDR, but I have no real opinion about anything apart from like a cozy light. Quite like it. So let's make a metal from scratch. I'll replace this probably with a preset later because again, ain't never got time for that. So let's just go. I am certain. Oh, maybe not. Anyway, right. So similarly in here, we've got a BDF model. This sucks ass. Don't ever use the Octane one. It just makes metal look like crap. I don't know why it's the default, but it is. And if we go into IOR, this is the bit that I'm terrible at because this is the way to get glass be all good. Like you do RGB IOR, and there's actually presets. Forgot about this. Brass, Copper, aluminium. Let's go with aluminium. Why not? Oh, caustics. Yeah, this is like again, like the way metal, because metal's a bunch of, like, this is my understanding anyway. Metal's a bunch of different small grains with lots of complex shit going on inside of it, and where most metals are composites, they all reflect different light in different directions, right? And it absorbs light at different wavelengths from different angles. I think it's all a bit too science for me. Anyway, long story short, use this setting. And then get the numbers from the internet to make metal look good. So if we change this back to artistic, we can see very quickly. It might not even show in this scene. How dare you? Oh, you're making me look silly now, aren't you? Trust me, it's good. It's good. It's good. It's all good. It's all good. So let's add some. One of my favourites. Let's go into my bump layer and we'll add my favourite nodes. So another thing that makes Octane awesome is some really cool utility nodes that come with it. This is the scratches node, which basically, you can use for car paints, whatever. It creates parametric scratches, and then if we just want to change the thing, we just do a transform, pow, and then make it smaller, a bit big, about there, and then we'll probably change our projection to something a bit more. It doesn't have to be an accurate projection because, you know, who cares? And then maybe not cylindrical. We'll go with X, Y, Z, GVW maybe. No, maybe not. We'll just do box. Screw it. And then when it's a bit bigger. So you see we've got these like little procedural scratches. So what we'll do, and this is getting pushed into our bump, so we've already got bump in here. So this is sort of like, oh, let's go back into this angle here for a second. So we can see in here we've got like a number of layers of scratches, how much they curl and curve around, so we can set, do you know what I mean? We get this sort of like pseudo anisotropic thing. And then we can just sort of like, you know, whatever, and set multiple layers, and each layer gets smaller for like these little micro scratches. It's really cool. That's too much. Yeah, you can change your freaks and change your steps, all that sort of stuff. It's pretty cool. And then so this is obviously going to be very homogeneous right now, right? But to make that a little bit better, what we can do first off is mask some of these out using some noise. So I will go and do a noise. And yeah, the great thing about Cinema 4D noise is, and this is available everywhere, but using it in C4D is great because you get a noise that's like always works the same way. Every time you need to use a noise, you can use the same noise, and it's got some like you global scale, and then you've got, you know, scale. So what we're going to do mix, okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do that, and we're going to do that, and let's look at the results. Let's pipe that into bump, There we go. Nice. So also what we can do is just leave one of these in here and then just put this into the amount, and that'll then, give it a second, there you go. And then we'll just do a different kind of noise, why not? And honestly, we'll just play until it looks good. That doesn't look good, that looks awful. Bit of blistered turbulence. Let's make this way bigger, let's make this like 100%. Okay. There we go, and we'll just start to just have a little look at how this looks, and then what we want to do is probably turn down our scratch color, and I'll just play with this for a while until it looks like something I like. And yeah, I'm just masking by our noise there. Obviously way too strong. And also what else we can do is we can do this other guy here, so chaos texture, which long story short just does the sort of like, let's do that. Boop. We'll also turn these things down, so what we're going to do is make that really minimal, and our scratches are going to be again really minimal, and then we see we're getting there, right? We're getting there, and see how it looks close up, and there we go. We're getting there, and we're making some progress. So what else we can do here as well, because again this is like an Octane thing, is, although we're using the bump channel right now, we could just pipe this into displacement and let the displacement do a lot of this work for us. So we're going to do that. So displacement, delete that out, displacement, change to vertex displacement, and we probably won't need this much detail later on, but whatever. And then, oh no, great, and then anything left over, we pump into the bump, pump in the bump, and we'll change the height down to 0.2. And then we're starting to get something akin to, 0.5. Okay, and also this would affect, so definitely the scratches will affect the roughness. So what we're going to do is pipe that into our roughness. What's going on? Why can't I? There we go. Going blind. And the old age. So yeah, we're piping in our, so actually what we can do here, get one better. So yeah, this is like, again, if someone's not sold on nodes, I think they're wrong, because yeah, if I want my, so here's an example of, whatever. If I have this general mask, I can obviously use this mask everywhere now arbitrarily, but also now, right, I've got my scratches over here being all not very strong, right? Could do it being stronger. But then what I can do here is I can do a gradient. So this came up earlier. A gradient, oops, gradient LSL. Do a gradient and do an octane gradient. Ba-doop. And then I can take the output of this thing here. Boop. I can change the strength of it as it goes into my roughness. So now I can have, and I can also do the same thing here as well, right? So I can then go and do another one here. So just duplicate that, plonk it there, drag that, and things. There we go. Oops, there you go. And then yeah, I can independently control the thing. Independently control the thing. There we go. Let's unplug that so we can see it. Let's just do this. Yeah. So maybe you can just about see them there. Let's turn it up a little bit. There we go. Cool. And then what we're going to do, we will solo this guy, and then what we're going to do is just do the same thing here. Go to that one. Okay. And now we have parts of our scratches also affecting the roughness channel, independent of the thingy, the who's its. But yeah, I probably will place with a preset layer because I'm not going to spend a load of time on a basic material like this. I'll just use one off the shelf, to be honest. But yeah, and we're kind of getting somewhere slowly. But yeah, from a distance that scans pretty okay. Definitely needs more. So I'm going to reuse my noise, or I'm going to do a get rid of. So I'm going to grab this, oops, no, get rid of that. I'm going to grab these guys. Oh no, why are you doing that? Right. I'm going to grab these guys, put them down here. Right, there we go. That's out of the way. And then that's going to go there, and then this is going to go underneath there. There we go. And see, node spaghetti is not that scary. There we go, perfect. So I can see my two things here. So now if I want to get a new noise, I'll do noise, or I can even just grab this and duplicate it. There we go. And then I can do the same thing again. And yeah, if you're not familiar with nodes, a lot of it's just this. It's getting two maps and mixing them together. You can do more exotic stuff with certain materials, but 9 times out of 10, you're just doing this. To be honest. I'm going to bring this over here, and we'll pipe that into there. I'm going to go that and put that into the roughness. There we go. And then we're going to see how it looks just off the bat. Give that a go. Boo, boo, doo, boo, 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 boo. So our noise is, let's see how big it is. Yeah, that's actually not the worst thing in the world. Let's turn that up. There we go. Just for the benefit of the one viewer. Hope you appreciate one viewer. Because I'm just going to throw this, just going to throw this material out. But there we go. From the distance we're looking at it now, it's still pretty shiny. We can. Let's just do this. Hey, too far. There we go. It's a bit better. So there we go. We're on our way to making an okay-ish thing. Let's swap this out for our more stylistic HDR, which should hopefully hide a load of those sins. Oh, it really hasn't. So here we go. Because this is just an image loader, we can just turn the power down. Wow, that's a bug. Hang on, just realised that. Oh, hold up. Something's gone wrong there. Something's definitely gone wrong there. All right, forget that. Forget that. Let's delete that. Let's start with our HDRIs. Run this in. And then we'll just do objects, HDR environment. Yep, this guy. Drag him in. Fine. Yeah, so that's the beginning of the bus. Let's make that a little bit deeper. Do I have my woods? I don't know. Like that. How deep is a bar? I don't know how deep a bar is. Probably like that, I suppose. I don't know nothing. Right. So let's just say that's it for now. What we're going to do is go Object, Octane Camera, and then what we're going to do over here is we're going to right click, Shift C, and do protection. So this is how in C4D you're not seeing that movie. You added a lot of things are driven by tags in C4D. Too much sometimes, I think, but the juice is worth the squeeze. That actually, no, look in this angle. That is absolutely awful. That is so bad. Let's just turn that right the way down. Actually, what we can do is make it universally. Make that less cartoon-like. Let's make that on like 20%. 20%, damn it. Oops, where's that gone? Let's over that. Okay. Good enough for now. Right. Let's just quickly give our scene save. So I'm going to bounce in about 5 minutes. So I'm going to quickly just do a couple more fun. I'm going to close the scene up actually and do a couple more fun things in Octane. Let's just do a new scene, reload that. Okay, so the plans as of yesterday. This is something that's really fun. Just wanted to show the one person watching. Vectron. So again, it's available everywhere. It's not on C4D. It's an Octane feature, and it's pretty cool. I didn't really get it at first, but now I kind of do. So yeah, basically, Vectron basically takes SDFs and loads them directly in the viewport, which doesn't sound that fancy. It's like, oh, that's just like volumes, but no, it does other stuff. So part of the thing is the way Octane's written. It's really efficient with maths. Everything's maths, but like the thing. Well, I'm going to show you the magic trick in a second. But what first we're going to do is. So what we're doing before with the volume builder, we can do the same thing here, right? So I add a sphere and a cube, and then I can do that. I can go into here and do Vectron and do Vectron Union, and then I can just jump both of those in there, and just like magic, they're going to be merged together. Give them a sec. There we go. Look at that. Wow. And I can set a radius and all that jazz, and it runs pretty quickly. So before I was getting like 40, now I got 160. So it's effectively, and this is still using the same hardcore, is it? No, direct line. Oh, that's why. But yeah, and then I can, whatever. That's not the interesting bit though, right? That isn't the interesting bit. Let's just get an HDR in here. Let's go objects, HDR environment, boop, 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 boop. And let's use good old bedroom boy. There we go. So yeah, we've got our merged shape thing. That's not the interesting bit, right? That's like, so this is faster than geometry, right? Hasn't got the overhead. There's no memory required to store. So on a GPU, you have to store everything that goes into the GPU in memory, right? So you have to copy from your main machine all the geometry, all the textures, create a copy of that on the GPU, and that's why they run out of memory so quickly, right? But in this case, with this geometry, there's no geometry to copy. So there's no overhead, and geometry is the smaller part of the equation. Textures are the bigger part, generally speaking, right? Geometry can be very large, but in general it's not. But That's not very interesting. What does make this interesting, and the kind of reason why I think this is actually good, is, where are you? You're around here somewhere, is this displacement. So let's go back to just a sphere, because it's the easiest way to demonstrate this. So I'm going to do that and do that and make that a child of that. And inside my vector on displacement, I'm going to go texture, and once again, C4D noise. And we're doing the same thing we were doing earlier with a displacement. The difference being, because this is just all purely mathematical, there is no geometry here, I can do, and I might crash this doing this, but we'll see. So I'm going to go into my texture. I'm going to set my scale down to, let's do 5%. And let's change to a much more interesting noise. Let's go to, let's just do this guy. There we go. And we can see this is still interactive, but also if we start to zoom in, we get basically, and this is like a cloudy one, let's do something a bit better. Let's do sound noise, why not? No, sound noise is boring. Let's do gaseous. And then we'll change this to octaves, make that one 10. It's going to crash. No, it's not. So yeah, in this scenario right now, we get, let's just turn my scale up 100. No, let's make it 50 so it's not as repetitive. There we go. So now we have no overhead. We've still got this incredibly fast thing, but we have infinite detail with no memory overhead. I haven't played with this much, and I was like, what is the point of this? And I saw this and I was like, Jesus Christ, that's amazing. And it's incredibly cool. So we can just, and we can treat them as regular objects. We can also bring in regular geometry and have this interactive vector, and we can convert it. It hasn't got the same performance. It's got some performance overhead, but it's still better. But yeah, I love this. This is so cool. I'm going to find a reason to play with this. Yeah, I'm rubbish at maths, but I just wanted to show this off. What other fun things inside here are there? Right, so I think, I think I hear a lot on the Pixel Fondue forum a lot is, I hate nodes. You're wrong. Nodes are so good. I can make sense of this very quickly. You just go left to right, and then you have things just organized. I mean, this is how, generally speaking, how I would organize it. And if I've got another material, I can just share the one transform and not have to duplicate anything. It just goes on forever. It's great. Also, I can have backdrops in here. I can leave notes on here. So I can leave... No, hang on, where is it? See, is it just note? What's the name of it? I can't remember the name of it. Oh, what's the name of the node? It shows how often I use them. It's under... yeah, nodes are the best. Seems like I don't like nodes, they're just wrong. Oh, also, I don't ever do any of this. I really should. You can do compositing within the Octane node graph, because Octane's all node based on the hood anyway. You're always exposing its nodes under the hood. That's just what it's doing. So you can power things like lights and all sorts using its own node system. So it's not just textures. It's Vectron for a start does it, but yeah, lights, cameras, all sorts. Environments, they're all node systems, so you can do some really powerful stuff with it. Let's have another quick look actually while I'm here on the I didn't actually achieve anything I wanted to achieve today, but I had fun, so that's the important thing. But yeah, the realistic lens stuff, because this is really interesting. So let's just use this Octane camera. Would you look at that? Would you just look at that? It's fit. I don't know if this overrides the... Oh, it does. Okay, nice. So that will then add to the default, because yeah, these come in with their own... Well, Filmon doesn't. But yeah, these come in with their own... because they're based on particular prime lenses. See, so a good example, yeah, we can see this halation. That's what we call this. That's so patronising. You probably know what that means. But yeah, halation. Anyway, this is coming in because it's a flaw based on this real lens. This is what makes it so cool. Fantastic, aren't they? So yeah, I want to play with this, and I will do when I finish that scene. It'll be using one of these lenses. The scene I barely started. Spent enough time talking about glass, and yeah, this isn't direct lighting as well. We're not even using path tracing. And then we go, path tracing is turned on. Let's turn this down to 1000, and yeah, I just love Octane. It's just so good. Some post crap. Why not? Oh, chromatic aberration now as well in post. People always overdo chromatic aberration, I find. But yeah, we have this weird image, but we have it in real time, almost real time. Yeah. So yeah, the whole thing that I'm gonna leave it on a little. I'm gonna leave in a second. My little diatribe is I don't see the point. I know the hotness inside the Modo forums at the minute is in the chat is, oh yeah, the cycles is just no as good as Octane. It just doesn't. It's not even just sort of this sort of like show offy stuff. Like once you're used to it, it feeds back to you in such a way that's just really, really pleasant. And it's faster most of the time, and it can do a lot of stuff it can't. And when I start off in this thing with glass, that's like a specific strength of Octane and a specific weakness of cycles. And yeah, so if you're using Blender cycles, Octane Prime is free. There's no reason not to use it. I just say to everyone, just use it. It's just better than cycles in pretty much every way. It's not that much harder to work with. I think I covered the basics of mixing textures. I mean, I didn't go into layering. There's a whole system for layering shades together. You can layer layers. You can layer objects together. So you can do. So if I just do layers. Oh, not layers plural. Where are we? Yeah, material layer. So yeah, you can. Cycles are easy though. I mean, to be honest, there's not that many data types that you have to plug in with Octane, and I knew. Put it this way, I knew cycles before I knew Octane, and it took me much longer to learn cycles than it did Octane. And I used those before both of those, and maybe I don't know. Your minds may vary, but like. There's a couple of little concepts to get your head around in terms of like data types. That we've got mostly one here. We've got displacement, which is only ever one of two nodes going here. Medium only takes one type of node. The rest are all image maps. So the Octane's not actually that fussy. It won't let you pipe numbers directly into stuff, I guess. No, well, actually, that's not true. So I can just, if I go into my roughness here, let's just do a new scene with something less weird in it. Let's just do like a glossy one or whatever. Fine. And we'll just make it like red or something on there. Diffuse, make it red. Yeah, sure, why not? Yeah, so yeah, if I have like this diffuse thing here and I just do like an integer, was it in here? Just a number, I can't remember what it's called, inside Cinema 4D. I can just do, just a float, why not? A float will do float value. There you go. And I can just pipe a float into here, but all it'll do, should do. Oh, hang on. Am I lying to you? Float. Oh, hold up. Am I lying to you here? Right. Am I looking at the wrong thing? It doesn't. I think it lets you do it in Modo, where it'll let you just pipe. Because if you got if a float is 0, it's black. If it's 1, it's white, right? So normally you can do stuff like that. But again, I don't really. Yeah. I don't find it any different, and also because there's lots of utility things you get here, like the curvature shade is really good, the triplanar stuff's really, really good, the chaos node's really, really good. You've got all the OSL stuff, which is really, really good. You can convert it. What am I looking for? OSL. These aren't actually that useful, but they are fun. So if I do boop, and then I think memory serves script category. Yeah, so you get a load of this stuff built in, which is pretty fun. A load of OSL stuff comes out of the box. There's loads of probably Mono throwing MREST is never. But yeah, there's loads of fun. What's some fun? Where was it? There's a really cool one in here. There's like a paint one. Where is it? Flow noise? I can't remember what it's called. No, that's just a noise. Of course, it's just a noise. Where is it? Paint colors, there we go. Paint colors OSL. Yeah, you can just fire OSLs into here. I think you can in cycles as well now. But let's just literally copy and paste. It's got its own code editor in line. It's pretty cool. This is completely random, but I just like it. It's not really even useful. But yeah, there's a load like this. So there's loads of like nice utility things. The way so the thing that always throws me off is with procedurals. Also, you have a much broader range of procedurals inside Octane, because I love the procedurals inside Modo. They're almost as good here, and the C4D procedural layer stuff is like almost worth the sort of like cost of entry on its own, because they're really good noises and there's a bunch of them. And yeah, you have enough generators inside like the OSL thing to really get back into a similar spot as you were previously. And I find almost any effect I try and achieve normally takes fewer steps in Octane than it does in cycles as well. So that base layer might be easier, but that layer above, when you get slightly more complex, and again, your mileage may vary, it's just me talking about my own experience here, I find it much more predictable in Octane than cycles. And throw on top of the fact that virtually everything you do in Octane looks better off the bat than it does in cycles as well, so you end up doing less work. And when you're really pissing about with stuff to try and get a certain look, the path to get there is normally quite clear once you're used to Octanes, is what I find. But again, I can only speak for me. We're using standard materials. A lot of them are just really straightforward to throw together. Like the metals are really good. 9 times out of 10, you can get away with like one shader type, and it has the things you need. You've also got standard surfaces as well, which is really good. I haven't used this anywhere near enough, but I do need to spend more time with this. So standard surface then behaves a lot more like Redshift layers work this, and same with Arnold. So it simplifies a lot of the controls even further. So for most stuff, this is like, I don't know if Blender's got it now, but yeah, the standard surface stuff is really interesting. I really like it. I do start using it, but yeah, you've got like it's better than the what's it called, principal BSDF stuff inside. There's no reflection because I'm in a white void. I don't know why I'm doing that, but yeah, yeah, the standard surface stuff is really good. Yeah. Also, you get things like, you get clear coat for free. You get the round edge shader as well. Comes with, I don't know, it's just a shading trick, but you can, yeah, like, you get a load of stuff. Again, you get a load of stuff for free. Some really good noises, some really good procedurals. And yeah, once you're used to it, it really works with you rather than against you. You don't have to fight it very often. And then also working with lights, which I haven't shown any of in this, working with lights inside Octane is just an absolute dream, because they just look juicy and beautiful all the time. Anyway, I'm done. I'm going to have some dinner. It's 7 p.m. in the UK, so I need to eat. But yeah, I didn't achieve anything I wanted to achieve today, but I had fun. And I do stream occasionally to the 2 people who are watching. And if you want to see more streams, then just turn up and at some point.